Hello everyone, my name is Louis, and this is English Grammar, the 12 Tenses. I want to make this introduction video just to tell you a little bit about myself and what we will be learning in this course. So I'm a professional English teacher. I've been teaching for 5 years, and this has led me to travel to 3 different countries around the world. Through this, I've gained a lot of experience as to how to teach a diverse range of students, and I hope that this has translated into my course, where I have gathered as much valuable material about the tenses as possible. I'm originally from Canada. I was born in a place called Niagara Falls, and I lived there for most of my life, and 5 years ago moved to China to teach English, and now I'm currently in Indonesia. Here are the 12 tenses in English. There's 3 main categories: present, past, and future. And within each category, there's 4 divisions: simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. Now, I think that the perfect and perfect continuous tenses are particularly hard, but we're going to cover those in this course. We're going to cover all of these tenses. There's 1 lecture for each tense, so that means there's 12 lectures, and there's also 12 worksheets. Here's an example of basically the same sentence used in each of the 12 tenses. I'm not going to read through them all, but you can take a moment and pause the video and read them, because it shows how we can express so much through the use of tense and verb. It helps us to specify and give details as to when something happened, and also to talk about the order of events. So what are we going to learn exactly? First of all, the form and the basic usage of the tense. That's most important. We're going to learn about verb conjugation. Sometimes the verbs, they need to change depending on which tense you're using. Other times they don't. Sometimes, like for the future, you just have to add a modal verb. We're going to learn about that. That's an important grammatical term. You may be asking, what is a modal verb? What is a performative verb? What is a state verb? These are important grammatical terms that we're going to learn. We're also going to learn advanced usage and rules. And there'll also be general tips and tricks to help you out. So why is this important? Well, in my experience as a teacher, I find the most common grammatical mistake is verb tense, because verb tenses indicate the moment when something happened. They provide a lot of specificity and detail that we need to express ourselves clearly and fluently. So if you master all of the tenses, it will make your English much more professional. Without further ado, let's begin. All you have to do is watch each video, complete the PDF worksheet, and after you've done the worksheet, you want to find the answers to the questions, you can check my YouTube channel, Caribou U English, search for the playlist, the 12 Tenses worksheet, and you'll find everything you need to know on there for free. Let's begin. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video covers the present simple tense, the most basic tense in English. It's part of a video series that will cover all 12 English tenses. The structure of the present simple tense is quite simple. It's merely the subject and then the main verb. For example, I eat breakfast, or she plays basketball. It's the most basic English tense, and it uses the base form of the verb, except for to be. The only other change to a verb is the addition of s for third person singular. If this sounds confusing, don't worry. We will look closely at all the details. So when we use to be, we have to be careful about subject-pronoun agreement. So the pronoun changes the verb. I am happy. You are happy. She is happy. He is happy. It is happy. They are happy. We are happy. So it's either am, are, or is. We add s for third person singular. It's used for the pronouns he, she, and it. She runs quickly. He sings beautifully. It eats plenty. There are many irregular verbs, which means that their third person singular form may be different than simply base form plus s. Have becomes has. She has Facebook. Watch becomes watches. She watches the news. Cry becomes cries. He cries every night. So, irregular verbs in third person singular, used for the pronouns he, she, and it. She has a television. He watches television. She cries often. This is exactly what we talked about in the previous slide. I just wanted to show you some more examples. There's two more kinds of sentences, negative sentences and questions. So far, we've only talked about positive sentences. Let's investigate. For negative sentences, we use this form. Subject plus do or does plus main verb, base form. I do not run. She does not run. They do not eat. It doesn't eat. So after do or does, we have to put not to express negative. It's a little more complicated with the verb to be. Here we have the following form. We have the subject plus be in the present simple, and then not. I am not happy. She is not happy. He is not happy. It isn't happy. They are not happy. We aren't happy. And we can use contractions. So instead of saying are not, we can say aren't. Instead of saying is not, we can say isn't. Here's some more examples of negative sentences and question sentences. If you want, you can pause the video and read them. And here's negative sentences and question sentences with to be. Take a look at those and memorize the form. Now, we're going to look at when do we use the present simple? What is its function? Okay? Now, this image here is pretty helpful because it shows how the present simple can be used to express an action that happens regularly. Could be now or the past or the future, or all of these times together. But we're going to look in more detail. When and why do we use present simple? The first reason is for habits and routines. The second is for general facts and truths. And the third is for thoughts and feelings. Let's look at each one in depth. So for habits, I play guitar. That's a habit. Maybe I do it every day. Maybe I do it once a week. Whatever. She meditates every night. They do independent study. I don't exercise. Does he read books? You can see the negative and the question form as well. Okay, routines. I brush my teeth at 9 a.m. That's my routine. The implication is I do this every day. Since I'm talking about a routine that I do every day, I use present simple. They go to school in the morning. Does she work in the afternoon? You always jog in the evening. So for practice, could you state some of your daily routines? Why don't you pause the video and prepare 5 sentences? You can say it out loud or you can write it. You could have said, I get up at 6:30 a.m. I eat breakfast at 8 a.m. I work for 3 hours in the morning. I watch TV in the afternoon. Those are my routines. So when you're talking about your daily routine, you're going to usually use present simple. Okay, number 2 is for general facts and truths. Canada is cold. Now that's just a general truth. It's always true, right? Mars orbits the sun. She is 49 kg. Indonesia is the 4th most populous country. These are things that are always true. They're facts. So for this, we use present simple. And finally, thoughts and feelings. So if you want to express your thought or your feeling, you can sometimes use present simple. My knee hurts today. She has a headache. They think we are incorrect. Do you agree with her? Does she feel happy? Now, these are similar to facts, right? Your thoughts and your feelings are facts, at least at the present moment. Practice. I'll ask you a question, and you need to respond using the correct sentence, okay? Does your knee hurt? Do you have a dog? Do you live in Canada? No, my knee doesn't hurt. Yes, I have a dog. No, I don't live in Canada. Okay, so those are the basic rules, right? So habits and routines, facts and general truths, thoughts and feelings. But there are some more advanced rules, which we're going to look at now. If you just want a basic understanding of present simple tense, you can probably stop the video. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, then continue watching. Now, there's something called an emphatic do in English. We may use do to emphasize something in a present simple positive sentence. It's kind of a mouthful. I do wish to see you. I do apologize for my rude behavior. You do look good today. Why do we add do? It's present simple tense, but we put do before the verb. Only in a positive sentence. It's because we want to emphasize something. I want to see you. I wish to see you. If I really wish to see you, I say, I do wish to see you. So that's called the emphatic do. Okay, the next point, we're going to be talking about state verbs. So a state verb is one that describes a state of being, not an action. Examples of state verbs: to know, to love, to understand. Yeah, so to know something, it's not really an action. It's a state of being. I know this. Same with love and understand. Now, it's not so simple because some verbs have a state meaning and an action meaning, right? But when they are in their state meaning, we use the present simple. So, I love my family. She understands Bahasa Indonesia. Do they know my name? So these are state verbs, and we're using present simple because they're in their state meaning. Sometimes we may not know whether to use the present simple or the present continuous. So now we're getting more advanced, and like I said, this might not interest you, but the present continuous is I am running, she is playing, we are talking. Here's a difference. I play guitar, present simple. I am playing guitar, present continuous. Sometimes we don't know which one we should use, right? Some verbs can have two meanings, state meanings and action meanings. For example, think. I think that's a bad idea. So here, think is not an action, it's a state. It's in my mind. I think it's a bad idea. But if thinking is an action, I am thinking about buying a guitar. Here, thinking is the process of considering something. It's the difference between a state and a process. When verbs are in their state meaning, we use present simple. And when they are in their action meaning, we use present continuous. Here are some examples. My diet doesn't appear to work. The Prime Minister is appearing at a conference. I expect the spring to come soon. He is expecting his package will arrive this afternoon. So just for your reference, other verbs that have both state and action meanings include anticipate, expect, cost, feel, fit, have, imagine, measure, weigh, think, appear. Okay, the next part, performative verbs. Like I said, we're getting really advanced here. This is not necessarily something you need to know, but it's quite interesting. And if you want to go into advanced grammar and be a real expert, this is for you. So, what are performative verbs? These are verbs that perform certain actions rather than just describing them. I admit I am not a good guitarist. I apologize for being late. Here are some more common performative verbs. I'm not going to read them all, but you can check them out. And we'll move on. We can use present simple with performative verbs. Okay? I promise you will feel better. I guarantee a victory. She approves of my decision. They recommend we travel in autumn. So these verbs do not merely describe an action, they perform the action. So it's like, I am promising you will feel better. But we don't use present continuous because promise is a performative verb. we use I promise you will feel better. Like I said, that's kind of a lot to remember. But if you simply remember the list of performative verbs, which I showed you, and remember to use present simple with them, I think you'll be okay. We can use modals with performative verbs to make our sentences more polite or tentative. A modal is a word you put before the verb to slightly modify its meaning. I can promise you will feel better. We would advise not to drive in the snow. She will approve of my decision. They would recommend we travel in autumn. So if you say, I advise not to drive in the snow, if you want to soften that and make it more polite, you say, I would advise not to drive in the snow. So these modals, they make your speech more polite. That's important when you're talking in English, right? You want to be able to express yourself politely and elegantly. If you say, I recommend you don't travel in autumn, that's fine. It's not rude. But if you want to sound more graceful, you say, I would recommend you don't travel in autumn. When we tell stories or jokes, we use the present simple to describe the main events in the sequence. We use the present continuous to describe longer background events. So, here's an example. The dog is sitting in the park when a man approaches it and tries to pick it up. The dog runs through the park, past the playground, and into the forest. Verbs we have here are first sitting, approaches, tries, runs. So why is sitting in the present continuous, but approach, try, and run are in the present simple? Because approach, try, and run describe the events that happened in a sequence, one after the other. But sitting describes the background event. The dog was already sitting in the park before this story began. So that's important to remember too. Present continuous describes the longer background events. Present simple describes the main events in a sequence. In live commentaries of events, like sports, we can use the present simple and the present continuous in the same way as when we are telling a narrative. So the same as the last slide, basically. DeRozan passes the ball to the wing and Murray shoots for 3. The Spurs are playing smarter this quarter. They are playing smarter. That's the background event. DeRozan passes, Murray shoots. Those are events in a sequence. In anecdotes and narratives about the past, the present simple can be used to highlight an event. In this case, it is often part with a phrase such as suddenly or all of a sudden. I was running through the park, enjoying my exercise, when suddenly a deer walks out of the forest and into the street. We're talking about the past tense, something that happened in the past. We use the present simple to say the deer walks out of the forest. Now this is confusing. Why do we use the present simple? Well, if you look at the rule again, it says we use the present simple to highlight an event. The deer walks out of the forest. That's an important event. We want to highlight it. Okay, another one. We can use the present simple when we want to introduce news we have heard, read, seen, or been told. In this case, we pair the present simple with phrases such as I hear, I gather, I see, I understand, and they say. This is important because we talk about the news quite often, right? So, I was reading the news yesterday, right? But if I'm talking to you today, I say, oh, I hear the Raptors won the basketball game last night. I see the stock market has been doing well recently. She read that Bali is an excellent place for vacation. Mary tells me you're thinking of moving. So as you can see, to introduce news that we read or heard in the past, we actually use the present simple. The present simple is often used in newspaper headlines to describe recent events. For example, volcano erupts in Iceland. Actually, the volcano erupted in the past, but the headline uses present simple. National debt tops 30 trillion. Snowstorm hits North Dakota. All these events have been happening in the past or happened in the past. So they only use present simple because it's in the headline of the newspaper. We also use present simple to refer to the contents of books, movies, and newspapers. Frodo carries the ring to Mordor in The Lord of the Rings. Rowling gives us something to think about at the end of her newest novel. The zombies attack the farm at the end of the episode. Okay, so finally, we have reached the end of the advanced rules. That's a lot to take in, but let's just do a little quiz for your own practice. Choose the correct answer. This is multiple choice. The answer is, how long does it take to get there? Next one. The bag of potatoes isn't expensive. The answer is, what does she want to eat? She runs to school. My sister likes to eat watermelon. Okay, here, fill in the blank. Put the verbs in the correct sentences. You should pause the video and do this on your own. Okay, I hope you are finished. I'll read the answers for you. When she doesn't feel well, she sits down. My girlfriend is very busy. She is working on her laptop. When the sun goes down, the moon rises. We eat bread and peanut butter when we are hungry. In Indonesia, the sun shines brighter than in Antarctica. Now, get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for all of the rest of the tenses. We're going to go through all 12 tenses. And present simple, in a way, it's the most basic. So it's going to get more advanced. And if you have any questions, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And I teach English online. You can find me on italki, or you can just send me an email. I'll put the email in the video description. All right, thanks for watching. Good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the present continuous tense in English, and it's part of a series of videos going over all 12 tenses. The present continuous is also sometimes called the present progressive. So if you see this, continuous or progressive, just note that it means the same thing. Now, the structure of the present continuous is as follows. Subject, the verb to be, and then the main verb. So the verb to be can be in 3 different forms, am, are, or is. And the main verb is always in the present participle form, which is the verb plus ing. For example, she is hunting, they are crying, I am singing. So what is the present participle form of a verb? As I said, roughly speaking, it's the verb plus ing. There are some rules, though, that we need to remember. The basic rule is just to add ing. Work becomes working. However, if the verb ends in a consonant plus a stressed vowel plus a consonant, for example in stop, t is a consonant, a is a stressed vowel, and p is a consonant. In this case, we double the last consonant and add ing. So stop becomes stopping with an extra p. If the verb ends in ie, like lie, we take out the ie, we just add y and then ing. If the verb ends in a consonant plus E, like come, we get rid of the E and we just add ing, coming. So those are the basic rules. If you remember those rules, you should be okay. For negative sentences, the structure is as follows. We have subject, the verb to be, not, and then the main verb in the present participle form. She is not hunting. They are not crying. I am not singing. And we can use a contraction here where we combine is and not together into one word. She isn't hunting. They aren't crying. I'm not singing. Those are contractions. And the choice is yours. You can use a contraction or not. For question sentences, we just put the verb to be at the beginning. And then we have the subject and then the main verb. We can also have not if we want, if we're going to make it a negative sentence. So we can say, is she hunting? Are they crying? Am I singing? We could also add not if we're going to make it a negative question sentence. Is she not hunting? Are they not crying? Am I not singing? Maybe the most important question that we have to answer is, when do we use the present continuous? There are three basic situations. First, for actions happening exactly now. Second, for actions happening around now. Third, to talk about the future if we add a future word. Let's look at examples of all three. For actions happening exactly now. I am studying for my science exam. For actions happening around now. They're living in a small town in Yukon. To talk about the future if we add a future word. I am traveling abroad next summer. Next summer is the future word. There are many future words you can use. Tomorrow, next summer, next month, next year, etc. First, we're going to focus on actions happening exactly now, like Frank is watching the TV at the moment. I want you to pause the video and prepare 5 sentences that describe something happening right now, exactly now. Look around, look outside, look in your room. What's happening? I hope you paused the video and prepared 5 sentences. Here's some examples. The sun is shining. We are studying grammar. I'm learning English. I'm listening to you. I'm typing on my keyboard. What about for actions happening around the present moment? We're working on the Smith account this month. It's not just exactly now, it's around the present. Let's look at the picture. What is happening in this picture? Use the present continuous, pause the video and prepare a few sentences to describe the picture. They are cooking. The mother is preparing food with her daughter. They are both wearing white shirts. So those are 3 sentences which describe what is happening around the present moment. Janice is meeting with her tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. Where's the future word here? It's tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2. Okay, so if you were just looking for some basic rules about present continuous, you should be okay if you just remember those 3. Actions happening exactly now, actions happening around now, and to talk about the future if we add a future word. But now we're going to go into advanced rules, and this is going to expand your mind when thinking about the present continuous and show you the increased possibilities. When verbs are in their action meaning, we can use the present continuous. My new diet doesn't appear to work. The Prime Minister is appearing at a conference. I expect the spring to come soon. He is expecting his package will arrive this afternoon. So in these sentences, when we use the action meaning of the verb, we use present continuous. With verbs describing mental states, we can use the present continuous to emphasize that we have recently started to think about something, or that we are not sure about something. So we have 3 examples: find, regret, or understand. She's finding it difficult to understand the meaning of the sentence. They're regretting their decision to move to Norway. He's understanding the difficulty of being a parent. In these 3 examples, the verbs are describing mental states, but we use present continuous to emphasize that we have recently started to think about something or that we're not sure about something. What about the verb consider? So, it has different meanings, but when it means to think carefully about, the verb consider is only used with the present continuous. I'm considering moving to Norway. We can't say, I consider moving to Norway. Are there some exceptions? Some verbs describing mental states and preferences are rarely used with the present continuous, like agree, believe, conclude, know, and prefer. With these verbs, we always use the present simple. So we never say, I'm agreeing with you. Or we never say, I'm believing in God. We never say, I'm knowing about geography. When we tell stories or jokes, we use the present simple to describe the main sequence of events. We then use the present continuous to describe the longer background events. I use this story as an example. A dog is sitting in the park when a man approaches it and tries to pick it up. The dog runs through the park, past the playground, and into the forest. The verbs here are sitting, approach, try, and run. Approach, try, and run are in the present simple because these are the main events of a story in a sequence. Sitting is in the present continuous because it describes the background situation. The dog is sitting in the park. He was sitting in the park before the story even started. So that's why we use the present continuous. The next rule: in live commentaries of events, such as a sport or competition, we can use the present simple and the present continuous in the same way as when we are telling a narrative or a story. This is a commentary describing a basketball game. DeRozan passes the ball to the wing and Murray shoots for 3. The Spurs are playing smarter this quarter. So we use playing, they are playing, because we're talking about the entire background of this story, the quarter. In basketball, a quarter is 12 minutes. There's 4 quarters in the game. So in this quarter, they are playing smarter. We can use the present continuous with adverbs, such as always, constantly, continually, or forever, to emphasize that something is done so often that it is characteristic of a person, thing, or group. She is always changing her mind. The dog is constantly barking. They are continually misunderstanding my argument. I am forever thanking God for my good fortune. Here, when paired with an adverb, we're emphasizing that something is done so often that it becomes characteristic. It becomes a personality characteristic of or behavioral trait of a person or a thing. We can use the present continuous to describe something we regularly do at a certain time. In the summer, I'm always camping up north. At 3 o'clock, she's often exercising at the gym. At midnight, they are usually sleeping. So here, we specify the specific time. In the summer, at 3 o'clock, and at midnight. And then we use present continuous to describe something we usually or regularly do at that time. So that's the end of the advanced rules. And to practice, we're going to go into a little quiz. The first part is multiple choice. Pause the video and try to find the answer. The answer is, I can't answer the phone because I am riding a bike. The answer is Facebook is providing a free service which allows people to chat online. The answer to this one is the trees are burning because of the forest fire. Here the answer is my eyes are hurting after reading for so long. The answer is she is running a marathon this weekend. This weekend is the future word. Okay, now for some fill in the blanks. Put the verbs in the correct sentences. Please pause the video and do this now. Okay, I hope that you paused the video and put the verbs in the correct sentences. I'm going to tell you the answers now. Number 1, please do not call me when I am eating my dinner. 2, I just looked outside and saw that it is raining. 3, she cannot hear us. She is listening to music on her iPhone. 4, he should know the answer because he is studying history. 5, I cannot come over now. I am helping my friend. Here is a little bit of composition. Please get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs. If you don't want to write, you can just speak out loud, okay? Okay, I hope that you paused the video and composed 5 sentences. But the first one, believe, is kind of a trick. If you remember, I mentioned that we usually don't use believe in the present continuous. We can't use it. We can't say, she is believing, I am believing. We always use it in present simple. So that one's kind of a trick. Neglect. You can say, she is neglecting her responsibilities at work. Hear. We can say, I'm hearing that it's going to rain next week. Ignore. She is ignoring my phone calls. And swim. I am swimming in the lake. So that's all for the present continuous tense. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the present perfect tense. It's part of a series which covers all 12 tenses. Learning about the present perfect can be very fascinating yet confusing. Try not to translate the present perfect into your native language because sometimes it doesn't translate perfectly. Just try to think in English and think in present perfect. The basic structure for positive sentences in present perfect is subject, has or have, and then the main verb. And the form of the main verb will be the past participle. Let's look at some examples. I have written a letter. She has taught a class. They have bought a car. It has started raining. For negative sentences, it is subject, have or has, plus not, plus the main verb, still in the past participle. I haven't written a letter. She hasn't taught a class. They have bought a car. It has started raining. The structure for question sentences is a little bit different. It is have or has plus subject plus the main verb in the past participle form. Have I written a letter? Has she taught a class? Have they bought a car? Has it started raining? The present perfect is a very important English tense, but it can be quite confusing for ESL learners because it uses concepts or ideas that do not exist in some other languages. Another general tip is to beware or be careful with contractions. Some contractions for present perfect and present simple look the same but have different meanings. For example, in the present simple, if I say, it's eaten, that means it is eaten. If I say, where is the cake? I say, oh, it's eaten. It's gone. But in the present perfect, it's eaten means it has eaten. Maybe if we're talking about our dog, we can say, my dog is not hungry, it's eaten. There are three main usages of the present perfect. First is to talk about experiences. So I have ran a marathon. Second is to talk about change. Sarah has moved to Thailand. Third is to talk about continuing situations. I have lived in Indonesia for 3 years, and I still live here. We use present perfect to talk about experience from the past. It has to have a connection with the present, though. For example, it is in my head or in my memory. We are not interested in when you did something, only if you did it. Here are some examples. They have seen a snake. We have lived in Singapore. She has made a cake. I have heard a ghost. So if I want to talk about my life experience using the present perfect, I can say, I've visited many countries in Asia. I've been to China and Thailand a few times. My wife has also been in Asia quite a lot. However, our son has never visited. Can you write 3 sentences using the present perfect to talk about your life experiences? I'll pause the video and let you do that now. Okay, I hope that you paused the video and wrote 3 sentences using the present perfect to talk about your life. The second usage of the present perfect is for change or recent events. We use present perfect to talk about change or new information. An action or state was not true in the past, but now it is true in the present. Here are some examples. They have arrested the killer. Has the price gone up? Has she broken her leg? I have bought a car. Recent events. Where's Jamie? I think she's gone to dinner, but she's been away for about 20 minutes. I know she's been to the library this afternoon. Please pause the video and try to write or say 2 sentences about something you have done this afternoon or this morning, and use the present perfect. Okay, I hope that you paused the video and wrote some sentences for practice. You could have said, I've eaten breakfast, or I've been to the park. The third basic usage of present perfect is to talk about continuing situations. So this means a state that started in the past and continues into the present. Often, it will probably continue into the future as well. We usually use for or since in these sentences. Here are some examples. Have they worked here since June? She has been a teacher for 2 months. I have known Joan since 2010. We have studied English for 2 years. My friend Janice has a number of hobbies. She's played guitar for more than 15 years. She's ran since she was a teenager. And she's practiced the Muay Thai boxing since 2015. Can you write 4 sentences describing your hobbies using the present perfect tense? Pause the video and do that now. Okay, I hope that you paused the video and wrote 4 sentences describing your hobbies using present perfect. You could have said, I've played guitar for 3 years, or I've studied Latin for 2 months. A very common question is, when do we use for and when do we use since? There's a pretty easy rule for this. We use for to talk about a period of time. For example, for 2 months, for 3 years, for 5 years. We use since to talk about a point of past time. Since 9 o'clock, since 2017, since August 1st. So, how long have I played guitar? I've played guitar for 3 years. Or, I've played guitar since 2018. An interesting fact is that Americans use the present perfect less than the British. So Americans might say, "Did you eat lunch?" while the Britons might say, "Have you eaten lunch?" So those are the basic rules for how to use the present perfect. If you would like to stick around and learn some more of the advanced rules, I think it will open your mind and let you know all the possibilities of this tense. We're going to talk about time expressions. Time expressions that refer to the present, such as this month, this morning, this year, or today, can be used with the present perfect. So, I haven't eaten breakfast this morning. She hasn't exercised this month. They have not drank alcohol this year. So if we think of this morning as a time expression that includes the present moment, we can use the present perfect. I haven't eaten breakfast this morning. It implies that it is still the morning when you are saying this. She hasn't exercised this month. It implies that we are still in this month. And they have not drank alcohol this year implies that we are still in this year. However, if we think of this morning as a past completed period of time, we use the past simple. I didn't eat this morning. That means the morning is over. She didn't exercise this month. That means the month is almost over or is over. They didn't drink alcohol this year. News reports. How many of you read the news? In news reports, past events are often introduced with the present perfect. You could see this headline, for example. The basketball star Ray Bork has decided to retire. To give details about the story, the past simple is used after the introduction. So really only the introduction will use the present perfect. Let's read a little bit of this news. The basketball star Ray Bork has decided to retire. He played for the Orlando Magic for 15 years. His decision came after months of deliberation. So you can see after the introduction, it switches into the past simple. In sentences which include a time clause with since, we should use the past simple in the time clause and the present perfect in the main clause. Let's look at the example. Since Richard Lafleur became president, taxes have decreased. The first part of the sentence includes since, and the second part, it has the present perfect. Since Richard Lafleur became president, taxes have decreased. We use the past simple in the time clause with since, and we use the present perfect in the main clause. Taxes have decreased. I haven't celebrated my birthday since my parents moved to Canada. I haven't celebrated my birthday. That's the main part of the sentence or the main clause. Since my parents moved to Canada. That's the time clause. In the time clause, which includes since, we use the past simple. In the main clause, we use the present perfect. If the two situations in the main clause and the time clause extend until the present, we can use the present perfect in both clauses. Have you played basketball since you have moved to Canada? Since I have stopped cooking, I haven't made my wife smile. Since we're using present perfect in both clauses or in both parts of the sentence, it implies that the situations both extend until the present moment. The next advanced rule. We usually use the present perfect after this is, it is, or that is. This will be the first time, it will be the first time, or that will be the first time. Here's some examples. That is the first time I have seen a moose. It will be the first time she has played tennis. This is the first time they haven't drank coffee in the morning since July. With time clauses introduced by after, when, until, as soon as, once, by the time, the present perfect refers to future events. It's kind of a mouthful. Let's look at some examples. After she has finished studying, we can go out for dinner. The time clause is introduced by after, and the present perfect, she has finished studying, is referring to a future event. So she has not finished studying yet. After she has finished studying, we can go out. When the rain has stopped, I will go for a run. I will go for a run in the future, when the rain has stopped. Until I have burned 200 calories, I will not stop exercising. The time clause is introduced by until. And then the present perfect, I have burned, refers to a future event. As soon as their money has run out, they will get started looking for a job. Once we have found the answer, we will call you. By the time they have returned from the store, the movie will be over. With the time expressions the minute, the second, and the moment, the present perfect also refers to future events. Try to find the time expressions in these sentences. We can go out for dinner the minute she has finished studying. The minute is a time expression which is referring to some point in the future. It's an undefined point in the future. We don't really know exactly when she will finish studying. I will go out for a run the second the rain has stopped. When is the rain going to stop? We don't know. They will start looking for a job the moment their money has run out. When will their money run out? We don't know. But there is a time expression, the moment their money has run out, referring to the future. We use the present perfect with verbs that describe unchanging states. Belong, know, dislike, understand. I haven't belonged to this group for very long. She has known about the problem for a week. They have disliked me since I met them. We haven't understood your request. So here, we use the present perfect with verbs that describe unchanging states. When we talk about the result of a circumstance or activity, we use the present perfect. For example, my income has decreased by 10% since 2020. I have tried 3 different diets and none of them worked. However, when we focus on the process, we use the present perfect continuous. My income has been decreasing recently. I have been trying different diets to see what works. So what's the difference between these two sentences, these two pairs of sentences? My income has decreased by 10% since 2020. My income has been decreasing recently. When we use the present perfect, it means we focus on the result. When we use the present perfect continuous, it means we're focused on the process. The present perfect suggests that an activity happened only once or a specified number of occasions. She has kicked the ball 15 times today. Have you played basketball 5 times this week? The present perfect continuous emphasizes that an activity is ongoing or repeated. He has been kicking the ball all day. Have you been playing basketball a lot this week? That is the end of the advanced rules for the present perfect. We're going to do a quiz to test your understanding. This is multiple choice. The answer is, have you belonged to this group for long? Pause the video. The answer is, my friend's weight has increased since I last saw her. The answer is, after reviewing the contract, I have decided to accept the promotion. The answer is, if you have finished reading the document, please raise your hand. The answer is, I can help you. I have done this exercise before. This is fill in the blank. Please pause the video and put the verbs in the correct sentences. Okay, I hope that you paused the video and put the verbs in the correct sentences. I'll tell you the answers now. I don't understand what you're saying. Have you read the book? You can take my plate, please. I have eaten all my food. She looks dizzy. I guess she has drank too much. I don't like dogs because my neighbor's Doberman has hurt me many times. They told me that already. Thank you. The next exercise is composition. Get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences using the following verbs in the present perfect. If you don't want to write, you can speak out loud. Please pause the video and do this now. Okay, I hope that you were successful in your composition. And this is the end of our present perfect lesson. I hope that you learned something. Good luck studying. Hello, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the present perfect continuous, a very important English tense. The present perfect continuous looks like this. How long have you been studying English? I have been studying English for 2 years. Generally speaking, we use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and has continued up to the present. Generally speaking, we use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and has continued up to the present moment and perhaps into the future. Like we have been studying. For positive sentences, the structure is as follows. Subject plus have or has plus been plus the main verb in the form of present participle. I have been working all day. Here is the structure of the present perfect continuous for negative sentences and question sentences. We'll start with negative. Subject plus have or has plus not plus been plus the main verb in the present participle. Jenny has not been reading. They have not been eating. Jenny hasn't been reading. They haven't been eating. You have the option of using a contraction between has not and have not. Here's the structure for question sentences in the present perfect continuous. Have or has plus subject plus been plus main verb in the present participle. Has Jenny been reading? Have they been eating? Here we do not use contractions unless we're asking a negative question. We could say, hasn't Jenny been reading? Haven't they been eating? Jenny has not been reading. They have not been eating. Has Jenny been reading? Have they been eating? Here are some examples of positive, negative, and question sentences side by side so that you can see the difference. Jenny has not been reading. Has Jenny been reading? Jenny hasn't been reading. They have not been eating. Have they been eating? They haven't been eating. For all of these sentences, we're talking about something that somebody has been doing in a past period of time until now. It's possible that they could continue doing this into the future. Here's another example. We'll start with this basic sentence. His hands are dirty. What has he been doing? Try to answer the question in the present perfect continuous. For example, he has been working in the garden. She's very tired. Has she been studying all day? She has been studying all day, so now she's very tired. We use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and stopped recently. I'm tired because I've been lifting weights. Why is the road slippery? Has it been raining? You cannot pass the exam because you haven't been studying. We also use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about action that started in the past and is still continuing. How long have you been learning English? I've been teaching for 10 years. She hasn't been thinking clearly. These are actions that started in the past but are still continuing and will continue into the future. She's been working since 10 this morning. So this was a past action which continues to the present moment. Sometimes when we use the present perfect continuous, we use the words for or since. We use for to talk about a period of time, 3 hours, 2 months, 1 decade. We use since to talk about a point in past time, 9 o'clock, January 1st, or Monday. I'll give you an example of a sentence using for and then the same sentence using since. I have been studying for 3 hours. I have been studying since 3 p.m. Have you been eating healthy for 1 month? Have you been eating healthy since last month? Those are the basic rules for using the present perfect continuous tense. It's used to describe a past action that was continuing for some time and may be continuing at the present moment into the future. These are advanced rules. We usually use time expression with the present perfect continuous. For example, have you been studying for 3 hours? 3 hours is a time expression. She hasn't been playing basketball for more than a week. More than a week. In both these sentences, we explicitly mention the time. We don't use the present perfect continuous with state verbs. What are state verbs? State verbs are verbs that describe a state of being and not an action. For example, belong, know, like, or understand. The first one is not correct. I have been belonging to a church for 10 years. If we're using the state verb, we should simply use the present perfect. I have belonged to a church for 10 years. So state verbs are often not used with continuous tenses. Sometimes we can use the present perfect or present perfect continuous with very similar meanings, almost identical meanings. To talk about situations that exist until the present, we can sometimes use present perfect or present perfect continuous. I haven't been working here for long. I haven't worked here for long. They have almost the same meaning, and it's very hard to distinguish the difference in expression here. When we talk about the result of a situation, we use the present perfect. However, when we focus on the process, we use the present perfect continuous. What if we're talking about the economy? The economy has improved by 5% since 2010. That is the present perfect tense, has improved. We use it because we're talking about the result of that improvement. The economy has been improving since 2010. In the second sentence, we use present perfect continuous, has been improving, because we want to focus on the process of improvement. We often use the present perfect continuous to say that an activity is ongoing or repeated, and we use the present perfect to specify that the activity only happened a particular number of times. Look at the two sentences. He's been playing for the Toronto Raptors for 1 year. He's played 50 games for the Toronto Raptors. In the first sentence, we use present perfect continuous because this activity is ongoing and repeated. In the second sentence, we use the present perfect because this activity has happened a specified particular number of times, 50 games. He's played 50 games for the Toronto Raptors. That's the end of the advanced rules for the present perfect continuous. Let's go into a short quiz to test your knowledge. This is multiple choice. Please pause the video and find the answer. All right, I hope you're ready. I'll tell you the answer. She has been studying English for 3 years. Do the same for this one. Have you been watching TV all day? Pause the video. The answer is, who has been eating all of my chocolate chip cookies? Are you ready? What time have you been playing basketball this week? For this one, we say, ever since I moved to Canada, I have been studying for 5 hours every day. Okay, this is fill in the blank. Look at the verb and put it in the correct sentence in the correct form. I'll give you some time to do that. Pause the video, please. Okay, I hope you're ready. I'll tell you the answers. I have been preparing dinner all evening. They have been cleaning the hotel rooms for the past 2 hours. Ever since I moved to Indonesia, I have been studying Bahasa Indonesia. We are stronger now. We have been going to the gym every night. She has been eating too much recently, and now she is out of shape. That's the end of our discussion on present perfect continuous. I hope you learned something. Stick around for the rest of the course, and good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the past simple tense, the most basic English tense, and it's part of a video series going over all 12 tenses. The past simple is the tense we use most often to talk about the past. The structure of positive sentences in the past simple is subject plus the past simple form of the main verb. For example, I talked to her yesterday. The past simple is usually used to describe completed past actions. So it's something that began in the past and ended in the past. I visited my parents in Turkey last month. My wife painted a wonderful landscape yesterday. We went to the library yesterday evening. Can you create 3 sentences describing something you did using the past simple? We also need to talk about the structure of negative and question sentences in the past simple. So the positive sentences are just subject plus main verb, like I talked to her yesterday. For negative sentences, we do subject plus did plus not plus the main verb. So I didn't talk to her yesterday. For the question sentence, we use did plus subject plus main verb. Did I talk to her yesterday? We need to be careful when we use to be with the past simple. It comes in 2 different forms, was or were. Here's some examples. She was happy. Was he happy? They were not happy. We were happy. Were you happy? I was happy. Was it happy? Here's a look at to be with positive, negative, and question sentences. She was cold. She wasn't cold. Was she cold? When do we use the past simple? Generally speaking, we use the past simple to talk about an action, situation, or event in the past. The action, situation, or event can be long or short. Here's some examples. The car smelled bad yesterday. She went to the library. We did not hear the dog barking. I lived in New Zealand for 5 years. Did you eat dinner last night? It does not matter how long ago the event is. It can be a few minutes or a few seconds in the past, or even millions of years in the past. Also, it does not matter how long the event is. It can be a few milliseconds or millions of years. We use the past simple when the event is in the past. I graduated from university. The event is completely finished. World War I ended in 1918. And when we say or understand the time and or place of the event. I went to the library yesterday. We're going to go into some more advanced rules to really get you thinking about unusual and special situations. We use the past simple for actions when we are telling a story. We use the present continuous to set the scene or describe longer background events in the story. So when you're telling a story, often you'll use two tenses, past simple and past continuous. Here's an example of a story. I was walking down the road when I saw a large snake. It slithered across the road and disappeared into the bushes. Look at the verbs. The first verb is a continuous tense. I was walking. But the second and third are past simple. Slithered, disappeared. We may use did when we want to emphasize or contradict something. Why didn't you go to the party? I did go. Why did Mary yell at her mother? I don't know. That did seem a bit strange. We want to emphasize that it really was strange. After drinking the turmeric juice, I did, in fact, feel better. We want to emphasize that the turmeric juice was really good and healthy. The next rule, we use the past simple in the time clause of a sentence that has a time clause using since. I haven't been to the movies since I moved here. Since she ran the marathon, she hasn't been able to move her legs. When we talk about two events or activities that went on over the same period of past time, we can often use the past simple and past continuous with the same meaning. Maria washed the dishes while Gennaro cleaned the table. Maria was washing the dishes while Gennaro was cleaning the table. In these two sentences, past continuous and past simple have the same meaning. When we talk about two or more past completed events that followed one another, one after the other, we use the past simple for both, if they are both completed. The alarm clock rang and I got out of bed. Joni missed the shot and Antonio rebounded the ball. We usually use the past simple to talk about repeated past actions. Did you do something in the past many times? Did you repeat it? You can use the past simple. I went to the movies 3 times. Did you drink papaya smoothies every day? If we want to emphasize, however, that the repeated activity went on for a limited time and temporary period of past time, we use past continuous. When my grandmother was in the hospital, I was visiting her 3 times a week. To lose weight, I wasn't eating any cake or drinking any beer. In these sentences, we want to emphasize that the activity went on for limited time or temporary period. We can use either the past simple or the past continuous to talk about things we intended to do but didn't. I meant to write you a letter last week. This implies I wanted to do it, but I didn't. I was meaning to write you a letter last week. Here we have the past continuous and it's a similar situation. So here you can choose meant or meaning. If we are talking about things we intended to do but didn't do and won't do in the future, we can use many different tenses. In this situation, you have a lot of options. Past simple, I planned to eat breakfast at the diner, but it's closed. Past perfect, I had planned to eat breakfast at the diner, but it's closed. Past continuous, I was planning to eat breakfast at the diner, but it's closed. Past perfect continuous, I had been planning to eat breakfast at the diner, but it's closed. So it's kind of funny, in this particular situation, you can use 4 different tenses. That's all for the advanced rules. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Make sure to review the lesson and complete the worksheets. And we're going to go on and do a little quiz to test your knowledge. We'll start with multiple choice. Pause the video and try to pick the right answer. Okay, after she played baseball, she walked home. Okay, my friend felt unwell, so I took her to the hospital. The hospital was crowded, so we had to wait for an hour before seeing a doctor. They were confident in their skills because they studied extensively. Although the lamp was expensive, I bought it anyway. This part is fill in the blank. Look at the verbs and put them into the right sentence in the right form. I'll give you a couple seconds to pause the video and do that. Okay, I'll tell you the answers. It was getting late, so we tried to go home. Although it was hot, I went out and played basketball. I tried my hardest, but I still failed. It's hard to study online because my computer broke. She told me that she saw a blue whale in the Pacific Ocean. Now, let's practice composition. Get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs: exceed, rest, infer, beget, and steal. There's some unusual verbs there which you might need to look up, but I do wish you good luck with that. And that's the end of our past simple. So I hope that you watch the rest of the course, and good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today we'll learn about the past continuous tense, a very important past tense, and it's part of a video series including all 12 English tenses. We use the past continuous to say what we were in the middle of doing at a particular moment in the past. For example, I can say, we were singing. When were we singing? In the past. The activity was not complete. We were doing it. As an exercise, you can think to yourself, what were you doing before you started watching this video? For me, I was cooking. Or maybe you were eating. Or were you watching TV? These are all past continuous sentences. The structure of the past continuous is subject plus was or were plus the main verb in the present participle form. Here are some examples. I was running. You were running. She or he was running. It was running. They were running. We were running. The structure for negative sentences is as follows. Subject plus was/were plus not plus main verb in the present participle. So a negative sentence in the past continuous might look like this. I wasn't eating. They weren't eating. I was not becomes wasn't, and this is called a contraction. You may use contractions if you wish, but you don't have to. You can say they were not or they weren't. For question sentences, the structure is was/were plus subject plus main verb. Were they talking? Was she talking? Sometimes it can be confusing to spell the present participle form of verbs. Here are some general rules. If the verb ends in a consonant, you simply add ing. If the verb ends with a consonant and then a stressed vowel and then another consonant, like stop, t, a, p, you double the last consonant and you add ing. So stop becomes stopping. If the verb ends in ie, you take away the ie, add a y, and add ing. So lie becomes lying. If the verb ends in a consonant and then e, you take away the e and add ing. So come becomes coming. There are some exceptions to these rules, but these are the basic rules. If you memorize them, you should be okay in most situations. So, the important question, how do we use the past continuous? The past continuous tense expresses action at a particular moment in the past. The action started before that moment, but has not yet finished at that moment. Looking at this picture may be helpful. In the past, I started doing something. So I was doing something before I finished doing something. But we have not arrived at that point of finishing. So we are in the past, but we are still in the middle of doing something. That's how we use the past continuous. Here's another example. At 5 o'clock, I was eating dinner. So this basically means at 5 o'clock, I was in the middle of eating dinner. When we use the past continuous tense, our listener usually knows or understands what time we are talking about. Here are some examples. I was working at 9 p.m. last night. They were not playing basketball yesterday morning. He was writing an essay this afternoon. In all three of these sentences, we explicitly state the time. We use the past continuous to express a long action, and we use the past simple to express a short action that happens in the middle of the long action. Here are some examples. I was watching TV when the raven flew in my window. Watching TV is the long action, and the raven flying in my window, the raven flew in my window, is a short action that happened in the middle of watching TV. So because of this, we use the past simple for fly. The raven flew. Here's two more examples. They were playing basketball when the rain started. We were playing chess while the musicians played. We often use the past continuous tense in stories. We use it to describe the background situation. Often the story starts with the past continuous tense and then moves into the past simple tense. Here's an example. A man was walking down the street when he saw a sparrow sitting in a tree. The sparrow looked at the man and sang a song. Here's another example. I was reading last night at 9:30 p.m. We state the precise moment in the past when this was happening, 9:30 p.m. Okay, that's the basic usage of past continuous. Now we're going to go into more advanced rules. So if you're interested in that, please stick around. The first advanced rule. When we talk about two events or activities that went on over the same period of past time, we can often use the past simple and past continuous with the same meaning. Sometimes the past simple and the past continuous can have the same meaning. Maria washed the dishes while Gennaro cleaned the table. Maria was washing the dishes while Gennaro was cleaning the table. These two sentences have the same meaning because the two activities or events went on over the same period of past time. The next advanced rule, we use the past continuous to emphasize that past repeated actions went on for a limited or temporary period of past time. I was playing squash twice a week while I lived in Bali. I was eating healthy 6 days a week during January. We use the past continuous to emphasize that these actions went on for a limited or temporary period of time. We can use the past continuous to talk about something that happened surprisingly often. Last week, I was having to bring work home every evening. This was a surprise. It was unexpected. The neighbors kept coming over, so I was making them tea all the time. It was a surprise that the neighbors kept coming over. We can use either the past simple or the past continuous to talk about things we intended to do but didn't. I meant to write you a letter last week. I was meaning to write you a letter last week. For things we intended to do but didn't do, we have a choice. We can use past simple or past continuous with the same meaning. Here are some more examples of that rule. I was hoping to see her before she left, but she was too busy. She was considering writing him a letter, but didn't. They were intending to open a new business, but they couldn't raise enough money. In these sentences, you could also use the past simple. I hoped to see her. She considered writing. They intended to open. And in this case, past simple and past continuous will have the same meaning. The next rule, we can use past continuous to report what we might do in the future. I was thinking of starting a new business. She was wondering about inviting Daniel over for dinner next weekend. They were planning to host a barbecue next week. These are things that we might do in the future. It's kind of strange that we use the past continuous in this case, but in fact we do. We don't use past continuous with state verbs. Here's an example. The couple were owning a house. Does that sound right to you? The couple were owning a house? No. The couple had owned a house. So with state verbs, the continuous tense doesn't really make sense. I covered state verbs in some of the other lessons, but basically, state verbs are verbs which describe a state of being. They don't describe an action. That's the end of the advanced rules for past continuous. We're going to do a short quiz to test your knowledge. This is multiple choice. Please pause the video and try to find the answer. The answer is, when it was raining, I went out to buy bread. I knew she was playing chess, so I didn't make any noise. This is fill in the blanks. Read the verbs and put them into the correct sentence in the proper form, the past continuous form. Okay, I'm going to read the answers for you. Last I heard, she was working at the regional office. Look over there, that dog was chasing a bird. My friend Michaela was traveling around the world this year. Your poor attendance record was hurting our company's reputation. We were sitting in my living room listening to music. And now we have a composition exercise. So get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs and put them into the past continuous form. And that's the end of the lesson for today. Good luck studying the past continuous, and stick around to watch the rest of the videos about the 12 English tenses. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today we're talking about the past perfect tense in English. The past perfect tense is generally about the past in the past. So if we imagine we were in the past, then we're talking about something that happened before that time. So it's the past in the past. Something that happened before the past. The structure is subject plus had plus the main verb in past participle. I had studied. She had forgotten. For question sentences, the structure is had plus subject plus main verb in the past participle. Had you studied? Had she forgotten? And the negative sentences are subject plus had plus not plus main verb in the past participle. I had not studied or hadn't studied. She had not forgotten or she hadn't forgotten. Here are some more examples of negative, positive, and question sentences in the past perfect. They hadn't studied for 3 hours before lunch. They had studied for 3 hours before lunch. Had they studied for 3 hours before lunch? How do we use the past perfect? This expresses action in the past before another action. It is the past in the past. I had exercised before class, so I was tired. Class is in the past. Exercise is before class, so it's the past in the past. The next sentence, she hadn't seen the movie. so she was pleasantly surprised. You can sometimes think of the past perfect tense like the present perfect tense, but instead of the time being now, the time is before. We had just drank water, so we weren't thirsty. I hadn't seen him before, so I didn't know who he was. She wasn't at home when I arrived. Where had she gone? Here's a situation where you might use the past perfect. Example: you arrive at a job interview late. The employee says, "You are too late. The manager has left." Later, your friend asks you about the job interview, and you tell her, "It was too late. The manager had left." That's past perfect. Reported speech. We often use the past perfect in reported speech after verbs like said, told, asked, thought, or wondered. Here are some examples. He told us that he had failed the exam. They thought they had met me before, but I had never seen them. She wondered why he had closed the door. I asked you why you had not finished your dinner. Reported speech is when we are telling what somebody told us in the past. Here's another example of a past action before another past action. I had already eaten when you arrived. Past perfect. I had eaten. I had already eaten. And you can put an adverb before the past participle. Now we're going to go into more advanced rules, which will help you to understand how the past perfect can be used in more unusual and subtle ways. The first rule is when we tell a story of a sequence of past events, so one event after the other, we usually use the past simple to put them in chronological order. Chronological order is one by one. We use the past perfect to describe an event that happened outside of the chronological order. This can only be understood by looking at an example. So I will read this story and make sure you pay attention to the verbs and try to find which verbs are in chronological order and which ones are outside of the order. Joseph started playing basketball when he was 11 years old. He joined a club at the local gym. He had worked out at that gym for some time and had seen the posters for the basketball club. When he started playing basketball, he met many new friends. This is a story of something that happened in the past, so most of the verbs are past simple. The past simple verbs are describing events in chronological order. There is one event that's outside of the chronological order, and that's working out at the gym. Because it's outside of the chronological order, we use past perfect. So we say, he had worked out at that gym for some time. When we already understand that we are talking about events before a past event, we can stop using the past perfect. We only have to use the past perfect once to establish an understanding of the time. I bought my new TV last month. I had been watching Netflix on my computer, but the computer started to function too slowly. For the second part of the sentence, the computer started to function too slowly. We already know the time frame here, so we don't have to use past perfect in the second part of the sentence. The first part of the sentence, I had been watching, already establishes an understanding of the time. If the order of past events is clear from the context, we can use either past simple or past perfect. After Alexei finished doing homework, he watched TV. After Alexei had finished doing homework, he watched TV. The order of these past events is clear, so it really doesn't matter which tense we use, past simple or past perfect. And this emphasizes the fact that the reason why we use past perfect is to clarify when an event happened in the past. Was it before another event, or did it just happen at some unspecified time? We often use past perfect to report what someone said or thought. Reported speech. I had told the police about my stolen car. He had thought about moving to Texas. They had said that they didn't like popcorn. Now here you can also use the past simple, but it's just one situation where we use past perfect as a convention. It's just what we do. We can use the past perfect or the past simple to talk about things we intended to do but didn't do and now won't do. Now we've decided we're not going to do these things anymore. Maria had planned to retire, but her boss convinced her otherwise. So now she won't retire. Joe had desired to become a professional soccer player, but he broke his leg and his athletic career ended. So now he does not intend to become a professional soccer player. But we can use either past perfect or past simple here. It's one of many cases where the two tenses are sort of similar in their usage. Maria planned to retire, or Maria had planned to retire. Joe desired to become a professional soccer player, or Joe had desired to become a professional soccer player. Sometimes we can use the past perfect and the past perfect continuous with similar meanings. I had been training hard all day, so I decided to take a nap. That is the past perfect continuous. I had been training. You could also say, I had trained hard all day, so I decided to take a nap. In these two sentences, past perfect continuous and past perfect have a very similar meaning. If we want to say how many times something happened in a period before a particular past time, we use the past perfect. Here are some examples. She had played basketball 3 times before she broke her ankle. So we want to say it happened exactly 3 times before another past time. I had stayed in that hotel twice in 1975. How many times had you voted conservative before you became a liberal? So here we're interested in how many times something happened before another particular past time. We usually don't describe states with continuous tenses, so we use the past perfect when we focus on the length of a situation or state up to a particular past time. We had owned our car for 6 months before it broke. So we cannot say we had been owning our car because own is a state verb, which describes a state of being and not an action. They had promised to pay me for my English lesson before they lost all their money. And here's a list of different state verbs: possession, mental states, and emotions. So for these verbs, in this situation we just discussed, when we want to describe the length of a situation or state up to a particular past time, this rule would apply to these verbs here. So you can take a look at these verbs, or if you are ready, we're going to go on to a short quiz because we are done talking about all the rules. The first part is multiple choice, so please read the sentence and choose the right answer. She had cooked steak 3 times before she realized that she was doing it wrong. She had told us that she failed the English exam. After we had watched the movie, we went out for dinner. I hadn't heard about the news until it was too late. She hadn't taught me much during the English lessons. And this is fill in the blank. So please put the verbs in the correct sentence using the past perfect form. Okay, I'm going to read the sentences now. He had met her before the party. The train had left before I made it to the station. Katrina had wanted to see the movie, but she did not have enough money. She was upset all day because she had received bad news. They had lost all their games because they didn't practice enough. And this is a composition task. Please get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs in the past perfect form. If you're not interested in writing, you can just speak and create your own sentences. And that will be the final task for today. If you want to do this, pause the video. But other than that, we are finished with the past perfect. So good job if you made it this far, and good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the past perfect continuous, a very important yet confusing tense in English. It's part of a video series of 12 lessons on all 12 tenses. The past perfect continuous expresses the past in the past. It's an activity or situation which was occurring for some period of time before a particular point in past time. Now that's kind of a mouthful, it's a lot to understand, so let's look at some examples. You can see the point now and then the point past. The past perfect continuous expresses something you had been doing before that past point. She had been running when the airplane flew overhead. The structure of this is subject, she, had been, plus the main verb in the present participle, which means adding ing, running. She had been running when the airplane flew overhead. Look at the chart again. The airplane flew overhead at the point past. She had been running for some time before that point. For negative sentences and question sentences, the structure is a bit different. For negative sentences, we can say, Hannah had not been running when she saw the airplane. Or you can say, Hannah hadn't been running. For question sentences, the structure is like this. Had Hannah been running when the airplane flew overhead? Here are some more examples. Had they been fighting when you arrived? I couldn't understand her because I hadn't been studying English at the time. She had been working out for 3 months when she noticed that she had lost 3 pounds. Let's look at the first example. Had they been fighting when you arrived? When you arrived is the point in the past. Fighting is what they had been doing before that point in the past. John was very tired. He had been running. I could smell cigarettes. Somebody had been smoking. So, at a point in the past, I could smell cigarettes. At some point before that past point, somebody had been smoking. Suddenly, my car broke down. I was not surprised. It had not been running well for a long time. Had the pilot been drinking before the crash? You can see how you can use this in a positive, negative, or in a question sentence. So how do we use this? When do we use this? Here are the basic rules. The past perfect continuous can be used to talk about a situation or activity that went on before a particular past time and either finished at that time, continued beyond that time, or finished shortly before that time. Those are the 3 main usages. We'll look at an example of each one. So for finished at that time, we can say, I had been reading all day when you suddenly called. This implies that when you called, I stopped reading. 2. Continued beyond that time. She had been feeling sick and therefore declined my call. After my call, she continued feeling sick. Or finished shortly before that time. I had been reading all day and was taking a nap before you called. She had been waiting for 2 hours when he arrived. This describes an action before something happened. So those are the basic usages of the past perfect continuous. We're going to go into some more advanced rules and special situations. It's quite common to be confused about past perfect or past perfect continuous. We use the past perfect to talk about an event that was finished at a particular point in the past. The past perfect continuous is used to talk about an event or situation that was in progress recently before or up until a particular past time. The difference is that the past perfect emphasizes that an event was finished at a particular point in the past. The past perfect continuous is more ambiguous. It could have finished or it could be continuing. We don't really know. It depends on the context. Here's a picture of the past perfect. There's the point in the past. Before the point in the past, it's something that we had done. It's done, it's finished. Past perfect continuous, we have the point in the past, and then we have something we had been doing, which was happening continuously. It may still be happening. Example, I had finished my homework at 5 p.m. I had been finishing my homework at 5 p.m. Past perfect, I had finished my homework at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is the point in the past, and my homework had already been finished. Past perfect continuous, I had been finishing my homework at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is the point in the past, but it's not entirely clear if the finishing of the homework was done. Although they are different, sometimes we can use the past perfect continuous and the past perfect with very similar meaning. For example, I had been studying all day, so I felt I deserved a break. I studied all day, so I felt I deserved a break. These two sentences have very similar meaning. However, if we talk about how many times something happened, we're going to use the past perfect, not the past perfect continuous. We had stayed at that hotel 3 times in 2012. We stayed there 3 times. We have a specific amount of times, so we use the past perfect. They had only played basketball 6 times before their first tournament game. We have a particular amount of times, 6, so we use the past perfect. This is a restatement of the basic rules we already learned, that the past perfect continuous can be used to talk about a situation or activity that went on before a particular past time and finished at that time, continued beyond it, or finished shortly before it. I just want to review that and emphasize it for the next rules. If we are not interested in how long an action or situation went on for, we should use the past continuous. This means that we don't care how long the action had happened. I met Emma when she was working at the high school. It doesn't matter how long she had been working at the high school. She was playing guitar when the phone rang. We don't really care how long she had been playing guitar, so we just use past continuous. Remember that. If we're not interested in how long the action or activity went on for, we just use the past continuous. But if we want to emphasize how long it was happening for and when it finished, we may be more right to use the past perfect continuous. Now, there's the important issue of state verbs, always a kind of confusing situation. Generally speaking, we don't use state verbs with continuous tenses, and that includes the past perfect continuous, of course. So we don't use the past perfect continuous with state verbs. Instead, we try to use the past perfect. Believe, love, and own. These are state verbs because they describe a state of being. They don't describe an action per se. We had believed that aliens weren't real before we saw the UFO. They had loved each other before they broke up. I had owned my car for 12 months before it was stolen. All of these are state verbs, so we use the past perfect and not the past perfect continuous because state verbs don't go well with continuous tenses. An interesting point is that the past perfect continuous is commonly used in written English. It is also used in spoken English, but less often. So if you feel that you don't really hear people using this tense in their speech, then you are absolutely correct. It's more commonly used in writing. And that's the end of our advanced rules for the past perfect continuous. But stick around, we're going to do a short quiz to review. This is multiple choice. I want you to read the sentence, pause the video, and pick the right answer. The answer is, how long had she been studying by the time she graduated? I hope you're ready. The answer is, they had been writing articles on various topics for 3 days. The answer is, she had been watching different kinds of movies all week. Marie had been traveling all around the world since December. The author had been writing fantasy novels all his life. All right, this is fill in the blanks. Read the verbs and the sentences and put the verbs in the correct sentences with the proper form, past perfect continuous. I'll give you a minute to do that and then I'll tell you the answers. Okay, I hope you're ready. Number 1 is, they had been playing hockey on that rink for 3 years. Number 2, the poet had been writing romantic poems since this morning. 3, had you been enjoying the concert up to that point? 4, Ricky had been playing the song for a week. 5, we had been watching the television program all day. This is a composition exercise. Please write or create your own sentences verbally using these verbs: veto, subside, teach, run, and walk. And don't forget to use the past perfect continuous. You can pause the video and do that if you want, but we are done the lesson and I will leave you to it, and good luck studying. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is about the future simple tense, a very important English tense, part of my course on the 12 English tenses. The first thing we need to talk about is the concept of modal verbs. The future is not expressed by changes made to the form of a verb. So with the past tense, we often add ed to the end of the verb, or we change how the verb is spelt. But with the future tense, we use the same form as the present tense. It's not changed. Instead, to express the future, we can add modal verbs, such as will or may, to the beginning of the verb phrase. So I would say, I will go running tomorrow. I will study next week. So the structure of the future simple is as follows. Subject, will, plus main verb. She will eat cheese. They will run a marathon. I will study history. Here is the form for negative and question sentences. For negative sentences, we can say, I won't eat cheese. They will not study history. She won't travel abroad. I will not do karate. So we can say will not or won't. For question sentences, we say, will you eat cheese? Will they study history? Will she travel abroad? And will you do karate? How do we use the future simple tense? In which situation do we use it? We use the future simple tense when we have no plan, when we make a prediction, or when we use the verb to be. Let's look at all these cases. No plan. We use the future simple tense when there is no plan or decision to do something before we speak. We make the decision spontaneously at the time of speaking. I will go get my pen. I didn't have a plan to go get my pen. I decide right now. We will start the meeting. Maybe they will watch TV later. We also use the future simple tense to make a prediction about the future. Again, there is no firm plan here. We are saying what we think will happen. It will rain tomorrow. The Raptors will win the basketball game. We will eat supper at 6 o'clock. We also use the future simple tense when the main verb is to be. When the verb is be, we can use the future simple tense even if we have a firm plan or decision before speaking. I will be in London next week. She will be happy to see you. They will be angry when they get back to the office. In this image, we can see the past, present, and the future. We can say everything will be okay. This is because we're using the verb be. If we have a future intention, if we do have a plan, we're generally going to use going to. She is going to study French at college. It's more correct to say going to because she has a future intention. That means we should not use she will study French at college. We can say she's going to study French at college. The future simple is not that hard to use, so we don't have a lot of rules for this lesson. We're going to go straight into a short quiz. Will they bake the pies? I think that she will arrive in the evening. Our plane will land at 9. This is fill in the blanks. Put the verbs in the correct sentences in the future simple form. Okay, I'll tell you the answers. Number 1, we will say goodbye tomorrow morning. They learned English and they will travel to Canada. The new Prime Minister will implement the reforms. She told me that she will visit next week. I have not been told if they will acknowledge my contribution. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This video is all about the future continuous tense. It's part of a 12-part series where I go over each and every tense. So I hope you enjoy. The future tense in English is not expressed by changes to the actual verb. Instead, we put a modal verb before the main verb to indicate future. Modal verbs are verbs such as will or may. We put this at the beginning of the verb phrase. The main structure of the future continuous is subject, will, be, and then the main verb. So, and it's in the present participle, which means we add ing. They will be jogging tomorrow. I will be helping my friend. She will be eating cheese. All of these sentences are in the future continuous tense. This image may help you to understand how we use the future continuous tense. You'll notice at the top it says future progressive tense. Progressive means the same as continuous. So we use will be plus the present participle. I will be teaching tomorrow afternoon. She will be running next week. It's an ongoing activity that is going to be happening in the future. There's 2 other forms that this tense can take. It could be negative and questions. For negative, we have to add won't. So the subject won't be, and then the main verb in the present participle. I won't be studying tomorrow. She won't be traveling this summer. If you don't want to say won't, you can also say will not. They will not be feeling happy. I will not be eating ice cream anymore. Won't and will not are the same thing. For question sentences, we say will plus subject plus be plus the main verb in the present participle. So will you be studying tomorrow? Will she be traveling this summer? Will they be feeling happy? Will you be eating ice cream anymore? So that's how we do questions and negative sentences in the future continuous. We've already touched on this slightly, but how do we use the future continuous tense? The future continuous tense expresses action at a particular moment in the future. The action will have started before that moment, but it will not have finished at that moment. Tomorrow, I will start work at 2 p.m. and stop work at 6 p.m. How can I express this using the future continuous? I can say, tomorrow I will be working for 4 hours. Here's another image that helps us to understand how to use the future continuous tense. We will be having lunch this time tomorrow. When we use the future continuous tense, our listener usually knows or understands what time we are talking about. They won't be playing tennis tomorrow morning. I won't be watching TV all day. She will be eating lunch at noon. In all 3 sentences, it's clear what time we are talking about. Whether it be tomorrow morning, all day, or at noon, when we use the future continuous tense, we want to stress what time we are talking about. Sometimes, when we talk about arranged events or activities in the future, we can use the future continuous or the present continuous. So, we will be driving to Ontario tomorrow morning. We are driving to Ontario tomorrow morning. The second sentence is the present continuous. We are driving to Ontario tomorrow morning. Because we're talking about a future arranged event, then it's okay that we use the present continuous here. We can use future continuous and present continuous with the same meaning when we talk about a future arranged event. Let's take a look at another example. They will not be eating with us tonight. They are not eating with us tonight. Both of them are talking about an action which will be occurring tonight, but we can use both tenses, present continuous and future continuous. The future continuous is sometimes used to indicate that a future event is prearranged. In this case, using will can indicate willingness, intention, and invitation. She will be helping us organize our kitchen. They will be coming over tomorrow at 8. I will be emailing you shortly. In all 3 sentences, we're indicating that a future event is prearranged. Whether it be organizing our kitchen, coming over tomorrow, or emailing you shortly, all of these events are planned for the future. We're planning for them to happen. The future perfect, future continuous, and future perfect continuous can all be used to say what we believe or imagine is happening around us. We could ask for Jane's car. She won't have used it today. Most people will have forgotten about it by now. They will have been waiting all day for the concert. Okay, folks, that's the end of the rules for future continuous. It's not the hardest tense in the world. You should be okay using it. So let's go into a short quiz to test your knowledge. We'll start with multiple choice. Pause the video and choose the correct answer. She will be flying to Hawaii next week. Flying with a Y. They will be working next Tuesday. We will be creating a website tomorrow. No, I won't be watching a movie tonight. She won't be taking photographs during the wedding. Put the verbs in the correct sentences. Meet, play, travel, eat, practice. Put them in the future continuous tense and put them in the right sentence. Okay, let me read the answers for you. Number one, will you be practicing with our team tomorrow? Number two, how long will you be traveling in Argentina? Number three, she said that she will be eating lunch at noon. Number four, I think that I will be playing squash on Saturday. And number five, will you be meeting me on Saturday? Will you be meeting me on Saturday? Here's a composition exercise. Can you put these 5 verbs into your own sentences using future continuous? Organize, plan, write, study, run. You can do this on your own, either write on a piece of paper or speak aloud. And that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed learning about the future continuous tense, and good luck studying. Hello everyone. Now it's time to talk about the future perfect tense. A very important but often misunderstood tense. I think you're really going to like this video. As with all future tenses, the future perfect uses modal verbs. So future is not expressed by changes made to the form of a verb. Instead, to express the future, we can add modal verbs, such as will or may, to the beginning of the verb phrase. Unlike the past tense, the future tense does not modify the spelling or the pronunciation of the main verb. Instead, we add will or may before the verb phrase. The structure of the future perfect is as follows. Subject, will, have, and then main verb in the past participle, which means adding ed at the end. Here are some examples. She will have studied this already. I will have finished by that point. They will have exhausted all their resources. He will have finished homework by dinner time. If you see in the picture below, we have the point on the left, now. And then at 7:30, begin homework. 9:15, finish homework. At 10 o'clock, eat dinner. So if we want to make a future perfect sentence with this information, we can say, he will have finished his homework by the time he eats dinner. For negative questions in the future perfect, we'd use this structure. Subject, won't, have, and then the main verb in the past participle. She won't have finished by then. I won't have arrived. They won't have finished studying by then. For question sentences, we can use will, subject, have, plus main verb in the past participle. Will she have finished by then? Will they have arrived yet? All right, the main question, how to use it. The future perfect tense expresses action in the future before another action in the future. This can sometimes be thought of as the past in the future. As we talked about before with the homework example, if I say, he will have finished homework by the time he eats dinner, we're talking about the past in the future. Look at the information at the top right corner. First, the plane will leave the airport at 11 a.m. And then you will arrive at the airport at 11:30 a.m. So we can say, when you arrive, the plane will have left. You can sometimes think of the future perfect tense like the present perfect tense, but instead of your viewpoint being in the present, it is in the future. Look at some more examples here. I have finished my homework. I will have finished my homework. See, the first one is present perfect, second one is future perfect. Look at another pair. She has eaten everything. She will have eaten everything. If you look at this picture here, you can see the sentence, we will have finished the report by Friday. So in the future, up to a specific moment in the future, by Friday, we will have finished the report by Friday. Here are some more advanced rules, okay? We use the future perfect to say that something will be ended, achieved, or completed by a particular point in the future. By the time you arrive, I will have cooked dinner. I think that all this will soon have been forgotten. She will have called him by now. You can see in the second sentence, I think that all this will soon have been forgotten. We had an adverb before have. Will soon have been forgotten. So you do have the option of experimenting with adverbs. And if you experiment with adverbs, I think this creates quite beautiful sounding sentences. Another rule, with the future perfect and the future perfect continuous, we usually mention the time in the sentence. By the time I get home, I will have drove for 10 hours. When she arrives at our house, she will have walked all day. So, because we're talking about the past in the future with the future perfect, it's a good idea to mention the time in the sentence so that people are not confused. Okay, this is long, so pay attention. The future perfect, future continuous, and future perfect continuous can all be used to say what we believe or imagine is happening around now. Here are some examples. We could ask for Jane's car. She won't have used it today. Most people will have forgotten about it by now. They will have been waiting all day for the concert. All of these sentences are talking about what we believe or imagine is happening around the present moment. But we have the option of using 3 different tenses. So if you look at the last sentence, they will have been waiting all day for the concert. That is the future perfect continuous. But we could also say they will have waited all day for the concert. Or they will be waiting all day for the concert. In all 3 tenses, the sentence has a very similar meaning. It's often quite funny to learn that in English we can use different tenses to express the same thing. Having said that, I think the future perfect is not too complicated. It just kind of takes some getting used to. So I want to go through a short little quiz to help you practice using the future perfect and really just to show you some more examples of sentences in this tense. Multiple choice. Feel free to pause the video and find the answer by yourself before I say it. If you find the correct answer, you'll feel more confident and you'll get a lot more out of the video. So number 1, by the time I get home, my husband will have cleaned the entire house. Number 2, Janice will have finished her homework by now. Number 3, the housekeeper will have cleaned the room by 3 p.m. this afternoon. Number 4, they won't have bought a ticket yet. Number 5, Alicia won't have finished studying until later this evening. All right, great job if you got all the answers on your own. The next part is fill in the blanks. Put the verbs in the correct sentences using the future perfect tense. Please pause the video and do this on your own. If you get them all correct, you will get a lot more out of this video. Okay, I hope you are finished doing that. If you got all the right answers, congratulations. Let me read them for you. Number 1, no, I don't think they will have eaten all those mangoes. Number 2, yes, we will have finished the project by Friday. Number 3, all the members will have agreed by the time the meeting ends. Number 4, the dogs will have finished all that extra chicken. Number 5, she won't have seen the movie because she doesn't have a TV. The final exercise is composition. Get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs in the future perfect tense. If you are not interested in writing, please just pause the video and speak out loud, making your own sentences. And that's all for today. I hope that you do this composition exercise using the verbs convince, buy, sell, execute, and expel. So there's a couple of unusual verbs here which you should experiment with. But other than that, great job if you made it this far. Good luck studying. Hello everyone, this video is about the future perfect continuous. If you haven't watched the other future tense videos, I recommend doing that first. But let's begin. Like all future tenses, the future perfect continuous is not expressed by changes made to the form of the verb. Instead, to express the future, we can add modal verbs such as will or may to the beginning of the verb phrase. The future perfect continuous tense uses this structure: subject, will, have, been, and then the main verb. It's in the present participle. So here are some examples. I will have been studying for half an hour when my friends arrive. By 3 o'clock, I will have been waiting for 20 minutes already. Next week, we will have been living here for 2 months. When you retire, you will have been working here for 20 years. If we want to express a negative sentence, we say, subject won't have been, and then the main verb. She won't have been studying long enough to pass the exam. I won't have been working here long enough to qualify for healthcare. We won't have been driving too long. For question sentences, will, subject, have, been, plus the main verb. Will she have been studying long enough to pass the exam? Will I have been working here long enough to qualify for healthcare? Will we have been driving for too long? So those are the three forms of the future perfect continuous: positive, negative, and question. The future perfect continuous tense is like the future perfect tense, but it expresses longer actions or states extending up to some specific event or time in the future. Alicia starts waiting at 11 a.m. Tina is late and cannot arrive before 1 p.m. Alicia will have been waiting for 2 hours by the time Tina meets her. So we use it to express longer actions or states extending up to some specific event or time in the future. We will have been studying for 3 hours by 5 p.m. So this is a long action in the future that extends up to a point in the future, which is 5 p.m. Notice that the long action or state can start at any time in the past, present, or future, but of course it always ends in the future. Here are some more examples. He'll be tired when he arrives. He'll have been working all day. How long will you and Sally have known each other by next week? This one is actually not a continuous tense. This is future perfect. And same with the last one. If she fails, it will be proof that she will not have tried hard enough. That's future perfect. I put these in here to show you the contrast between future perfect continuous and future perfect. We use future perfect continuous to emphasize the duration of an activity in progress at a particular point in the future. So, for example, by Saturday night, I will have been studying all day. Or next week, we will have been renting this apartment for 2 months. With future perfect and the future perfect continuous, we usually mention the time in the sentence. This is very important. By the time I get home, I will have been driving for 10 hours. When she arrives at our house, she will have been walking all day. We don't have to mention the time, but we usually do because it makes the meaning of the sentence more clear. The future perfect, future continuous, and future perfect continuous can all be used to say what we believe or imagine is happening around now. Here's some examples. We could ask for Jane's car. She won't have used it today. That's future perfect, and we're expressing what we believe is happening around now. Most people will have forgotten about it by now. Also future perfect. And last one, they will have been waiting all day for the concert. These are all things that we believe or imagine are happening around now. We can use the future perfect continuous to say what we think was happening at a particular point in the past. She will have been crying after she heard the news of the robbery. I guess they will have been cheering after their team won the championship. I assume he will have been contemplating his mistakes after he was arrested. Although the future perfect continuous is a little bit confusing, It's not too hard to use, and that's why there's not very many rules. Let's go on to a short quiz to test your knowledge. Multiple choice. Next week, they what? They will have been working on this project for 3 years. He will be making a rest stop in an hour because she will have been driving the car for 4 hours by then and feeling drowsy. Next Wednesday, he will have been reading that history book for 3 weeks. Gina will have been cooking dinner by the time you get home. By December, I will have been learning Spanish for a year. Fill in the blanks. Put the verbs in the correct sentences. You can pause the video and do this now. Make sure you use future perfect continuous tense. Okay, I hope you're finished by now. Let me show you the answers. It will have been snowing for several days. The boys will have been doing homework since the afternoon. I will have been studying for 2 hours by the time you get home. My son will have been playing in the park for 2 hours by 6 o'clock. The doctor will have been treating the patients for 6 years. And the final task is composition. Get a piece of paper and write 5 sentences with the following verbs in the future perfect continuous tense. I'll leave you to do that task. And if you made it this far through the video, good job and good luck studying your tenses.